Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to some. Welcome to Ask the Expert, episode 18. This is going to be a look back at season 2 with Kurt Benedict, Clinton Honnett, Highland Joseph, and my name is Caleb Leach. I'll be the moderator, but with this group, I imagine it'll be very hard to moderate anyone. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look back at the season and talk through some of the highlights, and we'd love to answer any of your questions. So make sure and put questions in the chat as we go. We'll might do it a little different this time. Instead of waiting until the end, we'll if we see something, we can kind of jump in a moment. But before we kick this off, this season wrap, I wanted to introduce our special guest, Ben Helt from the SCA. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing okay. I'm on Team SCA pullover over here. See the uniform? We got the uniform, Kurt and I do, and you guys have hair. I don't know what.
Oh, wow. Wow. Wait, Caleb, coffee. What's our coffee?
Don't blame me.
You have hair.
Hold on, wait. Let me just let it cool out a little. Let me do the Farrah.
Yeah, I've definitely got the pandemic hair going right now. This is probably the longest it's been since I was 20. Anyway, so what we like to do at the beginning of these seminars, since we can't really do it, or we haven't been able to do it in person as much, is sort of share that morning coffee with each other quickly, just kind of get through it. It makes it feel a little more personal, and it gives us a chance to connect. So I'll go first. I'm embarrassed to say that yesterday I drank the last bit of whole bean coffee I had in my grinder and completely forgot to go to the store or to the coffee shop that's literally 2 blocks down the street. So I am enjoying what I call my backup or go bag coffee. It's Via, so that's like an instant coffee. You know, it's delicious for camping, hiking, fishing, or just when you forget to go buy coffee. So cheers. Ben, what do you got in your cup?
Okay, well, I just finished pot number 1 of the day. It's 10 a.m. here in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And I usually have my first cup around 6:30. And that was a delicious coffee from Minas Gerais, Brazil. Actually, no, this one's from Carmo de Minas. It's from the Cocorrive Co-op in Carmo de Minas, and is imported by a green coffee importer named Anthem Coffee Imports here in Kansas City, and roasted by a local roaster named Dow Mayest. And representatives from Cocorrive have also visited Kansas City. So it's a fun coffee to drink because I'm just familiar with the entire chain from start to finish. And so that's one reason I enjoy it, and my wife likes it, and that's why we buy it.
Super important.
That's why it's in our house.
Very important. You know, I think just like having stories, that's just part of that coffee culture, right? That yeah. And Ben, you're really good at the campfire story, man. I tell you what, you got that down. Kurt,
that's right.
What are you having this morning?
Got a nice Ethiopian Yirgacheffe from my friends over at Unrivaled Coffee. It's really good.
Excellent. Highland?
I actually ran into the same situation as you this morning. So I had to go to my backup coffee, and I have a mighty good instant coffee from David Myers. And I got to say, I'm really surprised at how I've had a couple instants lately. I'm really surprised at how good they are as a backup coffee.
Gotta have backup.
Lynn, how about you?
Mine is from Guji, Ethiopia, from George Howell Coffee. I fixed a speedster for a friend, and it was a real quick one. I was like, you could just toss me a little coffee. That's totally fine. Pulled this out of the freezer, and I was like, yeah, that'll do. That's okay.
Hey, Clint, Caleb, can I throw a reminder in there?
Absolutely.
One quick reminder to everybody who's attending. One of the things we will be doing today is having a contest to suggest an episode, and the winner will get to participate in the episode. So Caleb will manage that before we wrap it up. Thanks, Caleb.
Yeah, you bet. I love the Bartertown, Clinton. That's a good way to get your coffee. All right, so Ben, you have some announcements for us this morning and a little presentation to go through. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to you. What do you got for us this morning?
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the invitation to join you today to speak a little bit about the Coffee Technicians Program, which you just officially launched just a few months ago and has really been taking off. And so I'm appreciating the opportunity to share this. It was in, 2016 or so, that a group of people who were committed to building community in the world of coffee technology and those who keep it working, to come together and form an organization here in Kansas City. This is where that first meeting took place, to form the Coffee Technicians Guild. And I had the pleasure of meeting a lot of people at that point. And since then, the members of the Guild have been strong champions and advocates for establishing more education opportunities for those who are involved in coffee technology. And so it's so awesome that here we are with a program that is launched as part of one of our official certificate programs in the SCA. And so that's just so cool. You know, it's happening. We're having people who are getting certificates in these courses, and there's going to be even more on the way. And so I was asked to kind of give an update of where the program is, and I'm going to be happy to do that. Those of you who are native English speakers may become frustrated with my pace, but I'm going to slow it down a little bit for those on the call who may not be native English speakers, since we don't have subtitles or anything like that. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 things. First, the program itself, what it offers people. And if I can get some help, Caleb, my microphone has a tendency to cut out when there's background noise. If you can help me with muting other sound, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk about the program first. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about who teaches it, the people who are involved in leading it. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the process to become a learner, and to, if it sounds like I'm describing you when I talk about the trainers who are authorized in this program, I'll be speaking to that process as well. So to speak about the program, I think it's important, before I dive into the details of the Coffee Technicians Program, to speak just a little bit to SCA education. It's a big word, education, and it can mean several things. We use it to mean a certificate program or to mean other activities that we do. It's important to recognize that the world of SCA education is large and varied. We do it through our events. You're experiencing SCA education right now through the network that we have with the CTG, through our guilds, through subject matter experts, through research partners. You have the opportunity to engage in sometimes free, low cost educational opportunities to gain content. So we have that. We also have the material that we sell through our store, through commerce, handbooks, guidebooks, tools for education and professional development, but then also the publications that we have, our podcasts, our magazines, our other print publications. And the CTG is no different, where they offer you opportunities to network through online forums, through blogs, and through series like Ask the Expert, right? Or an expert. And so we have that. So keep in mind that I'm going to be speaking specifically about one part of our large world of education, and that is the certificate program itself. It's important to note that these are big programs, right? So take a look at these numbers. This is mostly our coffee skills program, which is about mostly the consuming side of the industry, from import and export of green coffee all the way to extraction and retail, right? Actual brewing and extraction of coffee. This is a lot going on. More than 60,000 certificates, and that's in 2020, right? Even with all the challenges we've had, it's still a very popular program. around 1,800 authorized trainers to deliver that program. And you can see the rest of the numbers here. It's large, it's popular, and it's global. It's one of the only truly globally recognized skills-based training programs in specialty coffee. And so I just want to give an idea of the scope of what we're talking about, because we're talking about adding the coffee technicians program into this world, into this structure. It's very important for us to make this information accessible. That's why it's so important to have it in so many different languages and have a nice representation when it comes to the trainers, which I will speak to in just a moment. This model follows something that's been closely done with the Specialty Coffee Association of Europe for a long time. This is relatively new to those of us who were previously involved in the Specialty Coffee Association of America in looking at this new model. And so I want to kind of go over the model again for those of you who may be unfamiliar with the coffee skills program. The SCA does not offer courses in the coffee technicians program or in the coffee skills program. We basically have 4 products. That's a curriculum, assessments, both a written and a practical exam, and a certificate. So the way this process works is we work, or the Specialty Coffee Association engages curriculum writers, some on staff, some volunteer, engaging with subject matter experts to make sure it's tight and right, to create the curriculum, the assessments that prepare someone for a valuable certificate when it's done. But we don't deliver these courses. Authorized trainers do. In the same way that someone may be an authorized dealer of a particular brand of espresso machine or grinder or batch brewer, we have trainers who are authorized to deliver this product, the Coffee Technicians Program product, to learners. These trainers set their own schedule, they set their own prices, they design their own classroom experience, student experience through their own lesson planning based on the curriculum and assessments designed by the SCA. So they are the distribution network. This allows for accessibility through language, culture. It makes it much more customizable and effective by having this network of trainers as compared to the SCA organizing and delivering these courses. So, as I mentioned, this all results in a certificate. Earlier, I talked a little bit about the differences in all the different things that we do when it comes to education. Something I've been using with newer trainers lately, as we kind of think about the difference between lectures and workshops and online webinars and certificate programs, this little saying that I've been using: lectures equals telling, workshops and webinars equals teaching, certificate programs equals training. The key difference amongst all of those is the assessment, is the test. When someone is holding this certificate, let's take hydraulics foundation. I know that that person who holds that certificate has demonstrated that they know where the hydraulic parts are in an espresso machine and what they're called. I know that they know how to apply different fittings to supply water to a piece of coffee equipment. And I don't just know that because we told them, I know that because they were tested by authorized trainers who are committed to the integrity of the program. So it's not just that we tell them to support both sides of the fitting with a 2-wrench method. We've seen it, we've scored them on it. And when they have this certificate, you know they have that. Now, it is also important to understand that this is not a certification program. That's a fine line between those two words, particularly in North American English, right? Certification, certificate. The term certification or certified carries a certain weight in many countries as being something where they are backed in doing a specific task legally. And that is not what this is. If you go through foundation, intermediate, and professional electrical, you are not an electrician, but you have accomplished the knowledge-based learning objectives and the practical learning objectives in those courses as prescribed by this curriculum. And with the help of the Coffee Technicians Guild and students with good experience and trainers, these will carry that value and communicate to anyone that the person holding the certificate has done that. But it is not a certification program. You will not be a CTEC-P when you're done, right? You would be a person who holds one of these certificates. Now, there will be levels of recognition along the way as you collect these certificates so that you have this acknowledgement and this accolade, this credential, to show that you have invested in this type of training. The program is modular, right? And so we have 6 different modules in this program. And then there are a foundation, an intermediate, and a professional course in each module. One of the things that I found in early discussions with my friends who are service technicians who run shops or work for manufacturers and do this type of training is it needed to be customizable. Why? We don't want to throw good money at training that is unnecessary for someone. And so it's very customizable based on the job task of the person who is investing in the training or is the beneficiary of the investment in the training. So we have hydraulics. It's all about the water moving through that machine and everything that controls that. Electrical, water and preventive maintenance, coffee machines. This is where we learn about the history of coffee machines, recognizing coffee machines. Maybe somebody's coming into this industry from a parallel universe where they've got, they understand the concepts, but it's more about becoming familiar with this machine, its history, and then its application, working towards being more of a consultant as far as the application of that equipment for customers. Operations management, parts inventory control, technician workflow, as I mentioned, inventory control, but then also understanding warranty work, like those kinds of things would happen in operations management. And then coffee preparation. Coffee technicians are expected to know, like a piano technician, needs to be able to play the piano and work on the piano and fine tune that. And so it's important that we have that coffee preparation component of this program focused on a technician and what they need to know to test, install, advise, and performance tune coffee equipment along the way. So as you can see, this is a big program. This is 18 courses that are available. This isn't something where you have to take all of them. Again, it's customizable. It's important to note that I kind of went through those first 3 modules quickly because I knew I was going to come back and talk about how these are the core module. Hydraulics and electrical, we all know the electromechanical nature of components in coffee machines. These two are closely related. In fact, there will probably be some cross-module prerequisites as you advance through these courses. And of course, we all know how important water quality is and how much of an impact it has on everything else we see on this screen, right? And then also preventive maintenance. These are set aside as the core modules to communicate as we launch this program. This is the focus. You can expect courses in these modules to be offered sooner than all of the rest. So this is going to be the focus. This is something that seems to be just based on demand and core knowledge to be successful across the board in this. We're going to be focusing on these core modules. And then we have the ancillary modules, which will come in time and support everything else as we move through. There's going to be some time for questions. Also, you'll be getting my email address at the end of this presentation, and I'm happy to answer all the questions that you may have there. let's talk a little bit about what happens through those. I think for many of us, when we first start hearing about something that's so new and so unique, we may start to like project what we think it should be more than what it is. So I want to speak a little bit about who this is for, right? The program is designed to be a step in from nothing at foundation and work your way up to being someone who can professionally respond to emerging technology in a critical way. Should be able to do that by the time you're done. Entering this program does not require any career experience. Obviously, career experience can help you internalize this information more, applying it. As we all know, the coffee technician's journey is a lifelong pursuit of continual professional development, right? It's like a poet learns to write the language and spends the rest of their time perfecting it, or a doctor learns the basics and then practices forever. Same with a coffee technician. You learn the basics and you spend your life figuring out how to do it more efficiently, more effectively, more safely, and in a way that you enjoy, right? And so the foundation module is all about understanding and remembering. When somebody comes into a hydraulics foundation, they're not reaching in a machine and taking anything out. Here, we're just talking about the components, their role, how to connect that machine to a water supply, but we're not talking about like common failures of those components inside. But then, so it's all about understand and remember. Let's understand where check valves are in their role, right? In intermediate, now we start to apply and demonstrate. You start to learn how those components fail, how they actually work on the inside. Start to maybe take a step towards some troubleshooting, right? But then in the professional, now it's time to analyze, investigate from there. So you can expect this progression, which closely follows Bloom's taxonomy. For any instructional design nerds out there, this follows that cognitive process. So understand and remember, apply and demonstrate, analyze and investigate. So someone who holds a professional certificate in hydraulic and electrical should be able to walk the floor at Host Milano or at Expo, World of Coffee, London Coffee Festival, any of these trade shows where manufacturers are communicating their latest technology and be able to understand what's being presented to them and analyze and evaluate that along the way. So that's the goal of the program, is to get them to that point where they can be effectively engaging in a lifelong pursuit of perfection as coffee technicians, right? Now, I want to go back to the trainers. That's a little bit of the program. That's what you can expect from the program. Keep in mind, these trainers deliver this on their schedule. At the end of this, you'll get my email address, and I'm going to talk about how you can find these trainers near you. So as a review, the SCA creates this curriculum. We engage with authorized trainers to then deliver those courses to learners. And if something I experience as I deliver this information, in some cultures, it's like, well, who's going to teach this? You know, if there's one thing I know about coffee is we have trust issues, right? And justifiably so, right? So who is teaching this? Who is a CTECP AST? And so I want to kind of give you a description of the types of trainers we're engaging in this program. Right? So who is a CTECP AST? A CTECP AST has career experience. We want our learners to know that they're in a room with somebody who's delivering a particular course, but knows that this person has experience in the field, servicing coffee equipment, preferably not their own, right? Having that experience and knowledge that can only come from time in the field to support what they're teaching. They also have third-party credentials. Many would have diplomas from electrical engineering, an HVAC certificate, some kind of third-party credentials to show that it's not just what they've learned in the field, but that they do have some kind of credential or background that shows their commitment to safety and to the subject matter at hand. A CTEC-P has training experience. The big difference between standing next to a new hire and doing on-the-job training and mentoring, which many are so good at. I know many of you on this call, and this is your sweet spot. We're talking about classroom instruction, which can be a different beast. A CTEC-P AST has experience delivering content in a classroom setting to groups. That is something that we look for in engaging people in this program. So they have experience. It's one thing to know all the information and be someone who is a subject matter expert, but that doesn't help us convey that information from you to a learner. So we're engaging people who have a certain acumen when it comes to training and education. A CTEC-P AST is active in their community. We're not looking for empty storefronts here. The folks that we're engaging in this program, I'm so excited about how involved they are in their community. They are committed to sharing their knowledge, and they're committed to growing this program. So you can count on them to be a key in getting you plugged into the coffee community as well. They also come highly recommended. Part of the application process involves us receiving letters of recommendation for people so that we know that there's support for this person to be in that role. Those are the standards that we're looking for with the trainers. So as you consider taking one of these courses and you write me and I send you the list, the directory of authorized trainers, I want you to know that these are the marks of the people on that list. Now, if while I was going through that list, you said, hey, that's me, good news. As we launch the program, we're holding some special application seasons or sessions where we receive applications and we take a look at those applications and evaluate them against that list I just shared with you. And then invite those who are ready to take the next step in becoming an authorized trainer. We have that session open right now. As you can see here on the screen, I held a webinar much like this at the end of February for the session we're in right now. That application period ends next week, March 25th. So if you're interested, please visit sca.coffee and Caleb or a friend of mine, if you wouldn't mind pasting that link, or actually that whole series of links in the chat window, that would be wonderful. If you visit the education section of sca.coffee and click on Coffee Technicians Program, you can learn about this entire program, and then as you scroll to the bottom, you can learn about what it takes to become a trainer in this program. You'll be able to take a look at an information guide that walks you through every step of what we're looking for and prepares you for actually putting your application in. Keep in mind, it involves a sample lesson plan based on a prompt that we give you. So you want to make sure you have that ready before you log in and actually complete the form, which is available in English, Spanish, Korean, and soon, hopefully by the end of the day, German. So you can complete that application. Feel free to complete that application in a language that's comfortable for you, and we'll take care of the translation on our end. This is all being launched at a time of exciting changes, right? We all had a pretty disruptive year, and I'm so glad the Coffee Technicians Program survived 2020. At the SCA, we are about ready to redo all of our technology, right? Like our core program is going to be changed. So you won't find these courses on our calendar, but you can get all the information you need about the course directory by emailing me at benh@sca.coffee that you see on the screen. If you write me, I'll send you some information along with a directory of the current ASTs, which are about 20 in 11 different countries on 5 different continents. So there might be someone close to you. I apologize if I went over my time. I hope that was helpful. Do we have time for questions, or are there any questions I need to address now, or shall I do that offline?
No, that was great, Ben. You're always welcome to come and take up as much time as you want. That's amazing. Super exciting to hear this is kicking off. I was there with you in Kansas City for that first meeting, and I mean, you know, being a technician for the last 25 years, roughly, or in the specialty coffee industry, and probably 20 years of being a technician. The guild has really brought us together in a way that we never were able to do before, and opened so many doors. And as we continue to grow this organization and bring, say, legitimacy to this niche business, we're really like setting the path for future technicians to have, you know, an easier go at it and some more recognition, to be quite honest. So thanks to the education team for putting all this together. Thanks for the SCA for supporting this movement. And Ben, thanks for coming on and sharing with us this morning.
My pleasure. I hope it was effective.
Oh, I think so. Okay, so I've got like all kinds of screens. Anybody have questions for Ben?
You covered it pretty well.
Yeah, you actually really covered. Sorry, Kurt.
Yeah.
Highland, I'm always kind of challenged with the chat. Not sure if I can
Luckily,
see.
I have it open, and there's no questions right now.
Oh man, that means you nailed it, Ben. I was like,
you nailed it.
but yeah, like when there's no questions, it's because you did a really great job covering all.
Wait.
That's fine.
What are you saying about the rest of the presentations, Caleb?
Oh yeah, let's not get into that.
Yeah, we're just iffy, Highland.
Yeah, I understand. We're just not good enough for Caleb.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh, okay.
Well, awesome. So
I actually do have a question. Just kind of how many techs worldwide do we have trained so far?
Man, that's a great question. And that was a question that was just posed to me by my supervisor overnight. It was like, hey, where are we at in this? And I think, oh gosh, I think we're already close to 50, maybe 60 certificates just in hydraulics foundation. And that's Greece and Korea, South Korea. Where that's happening. So I know others who are getting ready to start launching some classes, but I need to go dig back in and see what those totals were, because it's a very manual process right now. But,
and a lot of the ASTs have started their classes, right? I know some of the Greek contingent has. And have you had any comments or any input from those?
Just excitement so far, getting it out there. And I think, you know, just kind of trying it out. And for example, it's only been released in English. Our friends in Greece and in South Korea have been translating it themselves to give it some time, you know, to figure it out, make sure it's going to work before we go into investing in a lot more languages from that. So, but yeah, the feedback has been really good. And a lot of them had time to ask great questions before they even started. So, yeah.
It's really exciting. It's really exciting to see this, because I was at the March meeting where you laid this out 2 years ago. So it's really amazing to see it actually come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Just being from at the guild from day one, basically. I mean, it's really amazing to see that we actually have an educational program, and being an AST, that program is such a complete program from what I've seen in terms of training a tech and getting a tech ready for the field.
That's right.
Okay, we have 2 questions. Mark Roby asked,
Mark.
Mark should just be on these. What is the cost to become a certified trainer?
Next here. Go ahead. What's that? The cost?
Yeah, Mark wants to know what it costs to become a trainer, a certified trainer.
Oh, what it costs to become a certified trainer. Great question. And I think it may be best. I guess I can't reply, can I, in the chat? All right, I'm going to say it. All of the information I'm about ready to say is in that application information guide and on that website.
I can forward it over to him.
So don't feel like you have to write this down.
Okay.
It's a 3-year license. When you sign up to become an AST, it's a 3-year license. It's also for all 3 core modules. You don't get to pick in those. Like, you have to be qualified to either teach hydraulics, electrical, and water preventive maintenance, or no. So you get into all 3, okay? The base AST license, I'm gonna do in US dollars, but we also have this information in euros. In US dollars, it's $1,800, so $1,800 for the base AST license. And then it is for those core modules. Gosh, I better look. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself here, but it's $600 for the 3 core module license. So that's a total of $2,400 spread out over, it's about $800 a year to deliver this program.
Excellent.
Did I
Thank
cover
you.
that enough, Mark?
Yeah.
Again, that's all in that guide, so don't feel like you have to write that down. So,
Appreciate that, Ben.
sure.
How do people find the certified technicians? Once
Unfortunately, the only way to find them right now is by emailing me. That's where we are. The new education website is almost done. We're switching to a completely different thing, which you'll be able to use our course calendar, just like the Coffee Skills program, and find all the Coffee Technicians program courses. But right now, unfortunately, and it's right around the corner. It's like within weeks, you won't have to email me, but I've got a nice directory of the current ASTs. And then in April, hopefully we'll be adding some more qualified people, and I'll be updating that even more. So contacting me at benh@sca.coffee is the best way right now.
Great. Well, thanks, Ben. And we do have the information on our deck as well that we'll share out later. Plus, I think Richard might have been able to share your information in the chat. Not sure. I know he was having some audio problems, so might not be able to come in and let us know or not. But either way, we'll get it out there to everybody that has questions.
Sounds good.
All right. Let me see if I can get our screen up here. I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut anybody off. Clinton or Kurt, did y'all have any other questions for Ben before he leaves?
I think Ben left.
Well,
He's gone.
yeah, I think you
Ben's like, I'm out. Ben, we missed you. It was good.
Encore,
Back,
encore.
back. He's not being hurtful.
Yeah.
I actually didn't mean to.
With no questions to
Like,
go.
Kurt's got a question.
Yeah, what's your question?
Were you, I don't, maybe I missed it, but did you point out, or who was all involved in creating this program? I just would like to give them credit.
That's good.
Man, okay. I'm going to start a list. I'm scared because there's been so many people who have reached in and supported this thing. And I think I just need to say, if you see someone's name as a member of leadership of the CTG, they're on the list, right? Because they've advocated for this from the beginning. So there's that. Some people who have spent time helping write the curriculum and do that so effectively with us include Simon Green from the UK. Then also, gosh, so many people who have kind of touched this. Simon Green, Benny the Badger. Also, who else do we have? We have David Miller.
Yeah.
Richard.
Brady Butler, who have helped with that. Richard Mull, Mike Kahn. Gosh, so many.
So basically,
people have been in there.
this isn't just something that a couple small people put together. These are people that have been around for years and years and years and know what they're doing, is basically the point I just kind of was hoping to get out there for everyone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it'll be even more so as we transition to maybe a different model of making this curriculum. There'll be more subject matter experts from the world of coffee technology, service techs, and academia who are reviewing this material. So it's not just.
Ben, you have a pretty decent vetting program for content creators, don't you?
Yeah, and getting better all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of your content creators, and it's a pretty all-star list.
I certainly appreciate them.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah. Gentlemen, shall we move on?
Okay, yeah, sorry. That's for real this time, Ben. You're welcome to hang out and talk to us.
Yeah, you're welcome to join us if you want. Like. but you have to contribute. So, okay, go, Caleb.
Right, I'm trying to share my screen here. Let's see if I can make that work. What do you guys see?
We see
We
the
got your
screen
slides.
of the episodes.
Excellent. All right. So this is me trying. All right. So look back at season 2. Highland, Clinton, Kurt, myself. Gosh, what a ride, you know, like this has been an amazing group of folks that have come out and shared their experiences, and I can't thank them enough. But what we'd like to do, I think, in our last 20 minutes here is sort of give some highlights, what we thought of it as we went along, and also make sure that everybody knows we're preparing for season 3. So any suggestions? I think Highland had announced the contest this morning. If you have some seminar suggestions, send them in the chat. Send them to Highland's email, and we'll see if we can incorporate them into the season 3. So let's start with episode 9. I think Clinton and Highland had some highlights there to share.
Clinton?
All right, I'll go first. Yeah, that was a fun one. One of the biggest things that I remember we kind of hit on was talking about using our experience as having been baristas to make sure that our tech work goes further. I definitely dealt with techs before who just kind of fixed it and walked away, and nobody knew what was going on. But all three, Frank, Linda, myself, Highland, you chipped in on this experience too, that because we'd seen that happen, we did really well to make sure that the barista understood what we were doing, to the extent that they made sure the issue didn't come back again if it was something that their hand might have been involved in, which I think a lot of people take for granted, and I was really glad that we got that point out there.
It's of the 2 barista tech episodes, I have to say it was my favorite, and what I liked about it was Linda's comments about being fearless about becoming a tech in our industry. And I think it really spoke strongly to how important diversity is in our industry, and how she was like, you know, you just have to go and do it and not be afraid of doing it. And that, I thought she made some really great statements about that. And I think the combination of you and Frank and Linda, as you're still basically all of you are within 2 years of being techs, still have that barista knowledge fresh in your mind. I think that told a good story.
Yeah, I can agree. And I think, you know, whenever I was looking for technicians, I was always looking for someone that was in the industry. If someone that was passionate about coffee and, you know, wanted to start turning wrenches or had some inclination, you know, that ability to sort of understand the culture and the product already was a step up, in my opinion. So,
well, that's one question that we discuss a lot, and we've discussed it in almost every episode, is what makes a better tech? A tech that knows, that has the basic mechanical knowledge, or a tech that actually understands coffee and has the mechanical knowledge?
I think it's a trade-off, you know. Yeah. You don't get both in this world. You get one or the other, and there's going to be training involved in one of those aspects, right? So you can find somebody that's a great technician, and then you teach them coffee. You find someone that's really great at coffee, and you teach them how to be a technician. Or at least that was my experience bringing people in.
Well, I can comment real quick. Every tech I've trained that came from a barista background, they tend to stay with the industry, is what I've found, because they already have the passion for coffee. So they're already staying in the industry once they learn to go even further in it. So it's just one of those things I've found.
Cool. So we've only got about 15 minutes, and I'd like to hit at least a couple of highlights from these episodes. So chlorides and chloramines with Scott Manley.
Not chloramine.
Not chloramine. Scott crossed it off.
But not chloramine.
Yeah, not chloramine.
That's right. Well, I'm glad we could keep this going.
It's got a good ring to it. I understood why it made it into the title. They do have a cadence together, but we steered clear of those for the most part. I got to moderate that with Scott, and basically spent the entire time just scrawling notes on my notepad. Chlorides aren't something I deal with a whole lot around here, but he brought up a good point that seasonally they can show up as roads are salted.
Yeah.
Kurt, I think you've still got some snow on the road out there, so I'm sure you're still seeing a little extra salt. Sorry, buddy. But it led me to go around and start testing around with some of my water supplies, and didn't see a whole lot, but I definitely did see the start of an uptick in numbers, so I was grateful for that for sure. And it was fun. We got into the science side of how they'll react with different metals too. There were a lot of great pressing questions that dug deep.
I mean, Scott's episodes, he's done 4 episodes for us now. It's like you actually really have to pay attention because he goes through so much, and then we get so many questions. And it's not like it's really specific questions. Like I'm on the E block of 4th Street in Chicago. it's like our electrical, like the electrical one we did with Mike T. But it's like the questions become so specific, and probably every episode I get at least 10 questions that I'm forwarding onto it. And it's all like that. I'm in Kansas on the E block and I have water issues. And the cool thing about Scott is he answers every single question.
Yeah, no, he's definitely the guild, or he's definitely the water subject matter expert for me. Like Scott really has this on lockdown, and it's from years of learning. He can share now with us. I'm going to get back to one of the things that he said when I kind of recap my conversation with Marty, but I love Scott's water talks, and there's so many more. It's like we take it for granted because it comes out of the faucet. It doesn't cost that much. It seems to be, clear and wet, but really it's a complex story to tell.
Usually. Yeah.
Usually. All right, so episode 11 with Maria Cleveland. I really enjoyed that with Maria, and throughout the years I've used different cleaning products for different reasons. And while I guess in the back of my mind I knew that they were all formulated for a specific purpose, she really drove that home for me and made it real. Like, this tablet is formed specifically to do this job with purpose, and then this liquid, it works best in this particular machine or for this purpose. And it really drove that home for me that if I'm looking to clean something, there's probably a product that is designed specifically to do that. And yes, none of them thought I was going to use it to clean the doors and the floors in my shop. Hey, but it's the cleaner I had, so I did it. Anybody else?
I have to add to that, and I tell Maria's probably sick of hearing this story. I tell Maria this every time I see her, is when I first got into the espresso business, the owner that I was working for handed me a box of like Dash lavender flavored dish soap to clean the espresso machine.
Oh.
And he couldn't understand why his coffee tasted terrible. I mean, I've been in this business for 30 years, and I've said, Maria, every time I talk to Maria about cleaning or she does a presentation, I walk away learning something new. It's like I still the tab thing, like the different sizes of the tabs. I'm amazed how many compliments we got on that, because a lot of people aren't aware that every super automatic is a different size tablet.
Yeah, and a different purpose. And I was thinking about that this morning. Do you guys remember the little tabs that had the sponge attached to them so that when they hydrated, the sponge would swirl around in there? You remember those?
I actually forgot about those.
Yeah, I did until this morning. I was like, oh yeah, there was that one tab. That was crazy.
So we're putting toilet tabs in espresso machines, what you're saying?
No, it was designed by the manufacturer. So they made it for their machine. It's just, I forgot that they had attached that little tiny sponge that when it got wet, it popped out, and I guess it swirled around in the brew chamber to help clean. Interesting. Hey, speaking of super automatics, Mark Robbie, So Kurt, you had some highlights from that one. I think you were on
I just
panelist on
actually,
that one.
I had a great time talking with Mark during that one. And, just getting really to point out the differences for some people, because, I mean, the experienced techs obviously will know the differences, but then some of the newer guys, just actually making them understand the difference between the supers and the traditionals and talking to them about modules. And it was just a really good time, because it's amazing to me how many people don't understand that the super is just basically eliminating steps from the barista. They think it's voodoo magic, and it's like, no, it's not. It just removes a couple steps and does it automatically for you. So it was just a good time with Mark. I think that was a great episode.
It was, and I like having Matt there as a manufacturer, as a representative who really dealt with super automatics at his level, and then having your input as a tech, and then it's kind of taking the stigmatism out of the fact that you shouldn't be afraid of super automatic machines, not robot takeover. And I think that was actually a really cool takeaway from it too.
Robot takeover. It's not Skynet.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, as techs, we see this too. We get comments that you're not a true barista if you're working on a super automatic machine, and that I don't actually think that's the case anymore. And Mark and Kurt and Matt dispelled a lot of the myths behind it, and I thought that was really useful for people who were curious about those machines. We have a number of positive comments about that.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the coffee world, and technicians, I know some folks don't do, they don't work on supers or whatever, but I mean, there's just more coffee equipment to get fixed, ultimately. And you can provide a great product out of all of them if they're tuned up, and that's where we come in. Every customer has its own needs.
A lot of people got to remember the super automatics are taking over the brewer industry too now. That you have the bean to cup pressure brewers that are just taking over everything. So by just saying, I don't work on super automatics, you're eliminating yourself from probably 70% of what's out there now. So that would be a silly thing to do anymore. Just to say I wouldn't work on a super.
Yeah, I used to own a restaurant, and I'd considered being vegan, and I asked a chef friend of mine that had a couple of restaurants, and he said, "Why would you do that? There's lots of people that want to come eat other things here." Well, that's a good point, I guess.
I like that.
That's a great point.
That is.
All right, so episode 13, I think we can all say that with Michael Tehan, it really boiled down to hardwiring brewers at hotels and convention centers. I think that's where we landed.
It's funny. This was our most. I can't believe how we rabbit holed on that, because that was never the intention. We rabbit holed so bad on this, but it's funny. This is literally our most commented on episode. Yeah. And it was either, oh my God, that was fantastic, or what the hell were you guys doing? And I don't know how it got away from us, but people were asking us like, well, if I have a 3-phase unit in a 2-phase building with 110 voltage, how do I solve? There's like, this is electrical skills for coffee techs, basic electrical skills. And we spent like 15 minutes on hardwiring brewers to hotel units. And then I've got Scott Manley, Don Berquist, and 2 other people texting me saying, well, this is what's going on here, and this is what's going on here. It's like, okay, stop, hold on. And it's like, let's step back a little bit.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun rabbit hole. And I think everybody knows that, that hardwiring is sort of our nemesis in the field. And there's just
definitely is. And I'm sorry, I'm going to state it once again, amp clamps.
Oh, God.
I got into it.
I'm not going down this path again with you. Next episode. All
right. So, again, I think we covered Scott. He amazing. I can't wait for the next water episode. The one thing that I guess I'll touch on. Yeah, go ahead, Clinton.
Well, the biggest thing that I remember from that one was reaffirming that the biggest thing is to just keep a log. like keep documenting what's going on with the water to see how it's changing seasonally, but also just like he was talking a little bit about just you could basically build a map of a water table from the data that's been collected, which one, I wish somebody had the time to really build that out into some cool infographic because I would love that, but that just sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
I want it. Want somebody else
Well,
to do it.
actually, we might be able to get that because there was a couple people from water organizations that volunteered the information.
Right.
And I think Scott's actually next episode will actually be chloramines.
Yeah, so I think that was a great, that's exactly what I was going to touch on, Clinton, and kind of moving into episode 15 with Marty Rowe. I think that it's that same idea because that resonated with me when Scott was saying, yeah, just take the test every time. Then you'll get to know the water in your area really well, and from, you know, south side to north side, and changes from summer to winter. You'll really start to understand what is a key recipe to the product that you're making, you know? And as we talked about what techs should know about coffee, you know, I kind of kept that thought with me. And Marty was looking at the Gold Cup standards and looking at the brewer control chart. You know, if we use the same method and we sort of test our brewed coffee along the way, we'll start to understand you know, what the effects of our repairs have done on the end product from a scientific basis, not just a quantitative like record of what you see. And then you can have those qualitative conversations with your customer. You know, this is what it tastes like to me. This is what the body feels like. But I also have this record of every time I've been here, this is the TDS your coffee comes out at. Consistently when the brewer is working properly. So there's the two things you could put together and sort of have a basis for explaining. Got 2 more in 3 minutes, so I'm going to stop there on episode 15. Any thoughts?
I'm just wondering what Island's done.
I had a whole conversation on mute.
Oh, bummer.
So I actually had a beautiful, very, very elegant speech. I'm willing to go over a few minutes because I'd like to cover every episode and give an opportunity for episode suggestions. And then Caleb, make sure we announce the surprise episode at some point along here. But yeah, I'm all willing to go a little bit over if you guys are.
I have a hard stop, guys, so I can just put my camera and microphone on mute. And let you guys finish up. I'll leave the deck up here, but I'm gonna have to go. My daughter's gonna go to her first day of high school today, and I'm taking her. So I gotta do that. That's important.
Yeah. You guys want to stay on for a little bit and take questions?
I'm fine with it.
Kurt? You want to stay on for a little bit and take some more questions?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, we'll do that, Caleb.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. It is just one of those days.
Before your hard stop,
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys, including you, Caleb, for putting this together. We couldn't have done this without the team of the 4 of us doing this. I mean, this came as an idea back in October, and Kurt, Clinton, and Caleb were really instrumental in putting these seasons together. They've been instrumental in corralling the kittens, getting the presenters together. They've done all the outlines for the episodes. They've done all at one level. Each of us has done at least 16 PowerPoints for these. So you guys, your work's really exemplary, and I wanted to thank you for stepping in on this project and working on it. And thanks to Maria and Mark, who I know are listening, and all the additional volunteers in the CTG to really jump in and help us out, because this is all volunteer. No one's getting paid for this. Scott's done an amazing amount of work. Everybody who's participated. And just before we lose Caleb, I want to extend those thank yous to you guys.
Hey, it's been my pleasure. I love this group and passionate about these topics. So I couldn't be happier. But yeah, thank you, Highland. I appreciate that.
So let's do preventative maintenance programs. Clinton, you were kind of
I'm going to say goodbye. You guys carry on, and I'll watch this later.
Clint, all you.
Yeah, this one was really fun. I think you said last night that this is the one that you've gotten like the most feedback on after the fact. It was a really fun conversation, especially the way that it was set up, because you kind of pulled me in as a business owner, and Rachel was from manufacturer, and then Matt kind of deals on a larger scale than I do, and just kind of the different ways to approach preventive maintenance. But the big thing that all of us came down to was it's about a relationship. It's an opportunity to build a relationship with the client and also get to know that machine and its particular needs and quirks. I think a lot of people think I'm just kind of selling them snake oil at the first bit, just trying to rip rubber bits out and put new rubber bits in. I'm like, no, your machine is going to talk to me. We're going to have a conversation. And you and I are going to have a conversation.
What I really liked about that was that Rachel and Matt, and Rachel's from La Marzocco and Matt's from Vixo. Rachel and Matt reaffirmed the importance of that at your level and at Kurt's level and at our level, where your techs, as much as they need to be trained as techs, they need to be trained to communicate how important this process is when you're going through it. It's like they're not just sitting there like, I'm just going to fix it. It's like they need to know how to actually communicate why a PM is important. And it was interesting. And I liked is like we all basically were on the same plate and what we felt about them, but each perspective was really strong. And I actually learned quite a bit. And again, I've been planning large scale PMs for 20 years, but it's like there's things you don't think about. And there was a couple of good things that Rachel brought up about how they choose parts. It's like they don't just randomly choose parts. And it's like it was interesting, and some of the large scale planning that Matt brought up was really interesting. What were your key takeaways from it?
One of the big things that we kind of went back and forth on that I liked was talking about if there's a component that isn't used as much, like if somebody's not using the right steam wand, do you change that out or not? And I mean, I've been guilty of, yeah, you're not using it, you're not wearing on it, let's stretch that a little longer. And I think it was Rachel brought up the point of that's still heating and cracking, and there are O-rings in there that might fail and you might have a leak. So that was huge to talk about, like even the things you assume should be fine, they're in that PM layout for a reason. And I really loved covering that. I mean, that was a wake-up call for me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, these are valuable to me because I've been doing this since '85. So if I can walk away and learn something, that has value. Brewer operation. I think Kurt, you were on brewer operation, weren't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was the panel on there, and I was the one that brought up a couple of questions to Rich. But my biggest thing I wanted to point out is I really appreciate Rich just taking the time to go and explain a lot of the features and a lot of how the machine works for people. I've been in this industry for a while myself, and it amazes me how many people go, once again, oh, it's a brewer, it's voodoo, and I'm going, that's one of the easier things we work on. And I'm like, you'll go put your hand in the super automatic, but you're afraid of the brewer. And this is not just a couple techs. I mean, I've met 30, 40 techs that were that way all over the country. And it's like, well, Rich really did a wonderful job on just kind of laying it out. Look, this is simple circuitry. There's nothing, scary about these. And he did a wonderful job. And I do want to say to Rich, thank you for taking the time to explain the bypass for everyone, because that is a big one. You laughed.
I was like, oh, no, it wasn't. But I was thinking about something. It was like you're talking about brewers, and it's like one of the things we discussed at the Super Automatics one was there are techs who can walk in and completely fix a Super Automatic machine, but they are terrified of traditionals. I don't understand that because, but it's funny. Like I know traditional techs that completely fix traditional machines, but they're terrified of super automatics. And we should do an episode on this because it's like they're all essentially the same system. They're using the same to a small point. They're using the same components.
In the way that Rich was breaking down the brewer, and that's actually the thing I wanted to bring up about this. That like this is how I started tech, not on brewers, but a different machine that separated things into those different component systems, being able to look at it and be like, okay, the issue is with water, look at what's water, instead of, well, let me check the heater because all of a sudden I'm not getting enough coffee out. There are people who would look at that and be like, oh, I'm going to check over this system. You're wasting your time, you're confusing yourself, and being able to look at that one specific area of a machine, not necessarily like space-wise, but theoretically, is super helpful. And I was really glad that Rich hammered down on that so well, and it does apply to every other machine. And I think that's what you mean by they're all the same machine, just
Right.
in different.
I mean, there's contactors and relays in each machine. There's fill valves in each machine. The only key difference between espresso machines and brewers is pressure and electrical, because obviously there's a lot of 110s. Let's do to the next thing. First thing is we are announcing a surprise episode. We will be doing an episode next week called Meters, Where, When, and Why. We will not be showing you how to use a meter. We will be telling you when to use a meter, why to use a meter, and I think, Kurt, you're on that one with me. We're going to be showing you some tricks on when you should do capacitance and conductivity, and we've still kind of working on our outline. Before we close out with thank yous, I want to open the floor to questions anybody might have or comments. We haven't had much, so we've got about 25 people here. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add, or any questions or any episode suggestions? I was really honest with you guys. There's 21 of you. I can get at least 2 episode suggestions out of you. Maria, Scott, Mark, I know you're there and I know you're listening. So we're finishing up season 3, and one of the plans for season 3 was to throw out, let you guys pick an episode. So kind of reminds me of that classroom in Ferris Bueller right now. Bueller. Okay, well, nothing. I'm a little disappointed. We will have the postings for season 3 here shortly. We're working on our schedule right now. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, Caleb, Kurt, or Clinton. One more time, I want to thank everybody who, did I see Kurt? I said you, Kurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One more time, I want to thank everybody who's part of this, because this is all volunteer driven, and I really appreciate your work, and thank you for your time. With that, Mr. Stiller, you can wrap it up, and everybody have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.